At Icknield High School in Luton, several former pupils remembered the severity of particular members of staff. One recalled that Mrs. McCarroll, who taught cookery, Mrs. Cunningham, the needlework teacher, and Mrs. Froud, the head mistress, were especially feared. Another former pupil described receiving the cane from both Miss Smith and Mrs. Froud, recalling the punishment as extremely painful. At Joseph Eastham High School in Manchester, former pupils spoke of Miss Holden, who was remembered for her frequent use of the cane. Several recalled receiving corporal punishment from her on numerous occasions, and remarked upon her formidable reputation within the school. At Joseph Whittaker School in Mansfield, one former pupil remembered an entire class being caned after a fire door had been opened, and no individual accepted responsibility. The same former student stated that she was also punished for smoking in the lavatory, despite denying that she had smoked. Another former pupil reflected that, although she had resented the punishment at the time, she later believed the discipline had benefited her. At Kelvin High School in Belfast, memories centred upon Mrs. Mackay, a science teacher remembered as one of the few female staff members to administer caning personally. Former pupils also referred to Mrs. Gallagher, widely known among students as Granny Gallagher, who frequently carried out punishments on behalf of other teachers. One recalled that younger girls often returned from her office in tears. Another former pupil remembered a science teacher, believed to have previously been Miss Pollock, who kept a cane wrapped with string and tape hanging prominently beside the blackboard as a warning to pupils. Former pupils of Keresley High School in Coventry recalled Miss Marsden and her use of a wooden slipper as an instrument of punishment. One former student stated that she remembered it more vividly than any caning. At Kings Hill Secondary Modern School in Wednesbury, a former pupil remembered being punished with a slipper by a mathematics teacher, Mr. Alcock, for talking during lessons. At Kingsley Secondary School, former pupils described Miss Vardy as a strict disciplinarian who used the cane regularly and was widely feared by students. Others recalled receiving punishment from Mrs. Royston with a ruler or from Mrs. Vardy for insolent behaviour. One former pupil admitted that she and two other girls received the cane after deflating bicycle tyres in the school shed. At Kings Meadow Comprehensive School in Gateshead, a former pupil recalled receiving the strap after leaving school grounds through a hole in the fence in order to catch a bus home. Former students of Kingstamerton Secondary School in Plymouth remembered differing attitudes among staff towards discipline. Some teachers were described as comparatively lenient, while others administered the cane frequently for talking during lessons or other minor misconduct. At Ladywood Comprehensive School in Birmingham, one former pupil recalled being caned by Mrs. Hayward after becoming involved in a fight. At Larne High School in Northern Ireland, former pupils remembered Miss Dundee, a physical education teacher reputed for her skillful use of the gymnasium bat. Another former student recalled being caned by Mr. Beggs for walking on the grass. At Levant House School in Chichester, one former pupil recalled receiving the slipper from the school matron. Former pupils from Lee Park and Gateacre School in Liverpool remembered Mrs. Lloyd, the deputy head mistress, as a strict disciplinarian who frequently administered the cane. At Lighthall School in Solihull, one former pupil recalled being slippered by Mrs. Hunt for smoking. At Limehouse School in Carlisle, former pupils described punishments for smoking near the girls' dormitories, including the use of a slipper or training shoe by members of staff. At Littlemead Grammar School in Chichester, one former pupil remembered being punished by Mrs. Ball for running in the corridor. Former pupils of LVS Ascot recalled an occasion during a European Studies lesson when an entire class received the slipper as punishment. At Manor Secondary School in Aldershot, former students described Mrs. Hollingdale, the headmistress, as ruling the school with great strictness. One former pupil remembered receiving the cane from her on 2 separate occasions. At Mansfield High School in Burnley, one former pupil recalled receiving the cane from Miss Lee for smoking during her years at the school between 1957 and 1960.